Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a brand new episode here of your favorite sports talk show, Under Pressure, hosted by yours truly, Nick Presto, of course, alongside with me, co-producer of the show, Billy Griffith. Joining us today, Nick Santamoris and Dylan Grafton. Thank you guys for being here. And we got a
So,
lot to talk about. It's mainly just one topic today, but we got a lot to talk about in it. The big game, the Super Bowl. Saturdays are for the boys, but Sundays are for the bowl. Let's just get right on into it, shall we? So the first thing that I definitely want to cover is Brady. Seventh ring now. Is there still an argument to make that somebody could possibly still be in the GOAT conversation with Tom? Or is he just in a whole other island now by himself, solidified as the one and only GOAT? So, Billy, I want to start it off with you. Do you think there's anyone that's close to Brady now, or is he just all-time GOAT? No one can catch him.
Well, I don't even know because Tom Brady's unbelievable. First of all, we got to discuss this real quick. Tom Brady wasn't even supposed to be in the NFL. Tom Brady was picked 199th overall in the sixth round by the Patriots.
Yeah.
He had to fight for his spot during that period of time. Once he got his spot, he got 6 rings with that team, led a dynasty. Of course, with Bill Belichick, nobody really knows who decided that fate. But when he decided to go to Tampa Bay, he played outstanding. Now, yes, he had a great offensive line, a great defense that adapted, and had 3 incredible receivers, and as well as Miller, who stepped up. Tom Brady, though, in my mind, is the GOAT. You cannot take away what he achieved. He is the only person to get 7 rings. He has more rings than any NFL team. Tom Brady deserves that spot. So when I look at Tom Brady, I think that man is an absolute legend. I think there are people who have a chance to compete with him. Maybe they're not going to have the same amount of rings, but talent-wise, it could eventually lead them to be the GOAT. Of course, Patrick Mahomes has that opportunity. Yes, Patrick Mahomes lost to Tom Brady, but he still has a chance. He's very young in the league. There's a lot of potential with him. And again, you don't know how people are going to adapt. I would love to see Josh Allen step it up and become something that people are talking about. I love that man as a quarterback, and he's really demonstrating dominance right now in the league with one primary receiver. So, again, you never know personally, but yeah.
I mean, yeah, I agree. I think Tom Brady now, I think he just solidified himself pretty much as the one and only GOAT. But Santa Morris, I would love to hear your take on this.
uh, I'm an infamous Brady hater. Dylan's already smiling because he knows how my takes have been.
Hey, I'm a Jets fan.
After his 7th ring, Tom Brady is finally, I'm ready to say it, he's the GOAT. He's got more than Jordan. I know he's not undefeated. And, I'll always be a Brady hater. I'll always be the one that says, the Tuck rule, Vinatieri kick, everything. I'll always say Spygate. I'll say every excuse. But 7 rings is 7 rings. Brady's the GOAT. He's still a system quarterback, and, he's always had a great team around him. It's not like he always had the best coach of all time. But unfortunately, he is still the GOAT. He is the greatest of all time now.
And yeah, now we do have with us Dylan, who is a resident big-time Patriots fan. So, Dylan, what's your take? I know what you're going to say already, so you might as well just say it.
Well, honestly, I don't even think this should be even a question. Like, Tom Brady has been the GOAT for the past few years. You can divide his career into 3 different careers, and they would all be Hall of Fame seasons. He has more championships than Jordan, and I don't even think anyone can even surpass what he's done already ever again. You look at the other talent in the NFL, you'd say probably the upcoming star is Patrick Mahomes, and he could only have 100 yards into the third quarter passing against Tom Brady. And I just don't think this is even a conversation at this point. Tom Brady has solidified this years ago. And the other GOATs up there say Peyton Manning maybe. He's only got 2 Super Bowls. Tom Brady has 7. So I don't even think this is even a conversation at this point.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Mahomes, let's now move on to the next thing. This game was kind of seen by a lot of people to be the passing of the torch game. GOAT Brady passes down the legacy now to baby GOAT Patrick Mahomes. As we all know, that did not happen with a 31-9 blowout victory for the Buccaneers, and honestly, a really subpar performance from Mahomes. But it really wasn't his fault. We'll
I
get
wouldn't
into
even
that.
say it's just Mahomes.
Yeah, no, yeah,
We
we'll
can't say
definitely get.
Mahomes because Mahomes realistically was looking actually pretty good for having to run all around that field. I understand he didn't do well, but he was not the reason for them losing that much, personally.
Oh, absolutely not. We'll get into that in a second. But first, I just wanted to say, right before we talk about it, what's next now moving forward for Kansas City and Mahomes? Do they look to keep everything together and possibly just gun straight for another championship, or do you think they might want to add some new pieces now to the team? Santa, I'll start it with you. What's next for Kansas City?
I mean, they were the defending champs and they just got to the Super Bowl again. I mean, what else do you really need to do? I mean, they have the next superstar. I mean, Patrick Mahomes is going to be the best QB in the NFL for years and years and years to come, maybe even more than 10 years. Who knows? I mean, the Chiefs, I don't think they have much to add. Probably just get a decent offensive guard, draft a guy that's decent, and you just make another run for it. I really don't think that they have a lot of moves to make. I don't know how their salary cap is looking, but they already have the pieces. They won last year and they almost won this year. So, I mean, they're gonna be right back in the Super Bowl again. Realistically, I mean, who in this this right now thinks that the Chiefs aren't going to be in the Super Bowl next year? It's going to be someone else. I know all three of you think it's going to be the Chiefs again. I mean, what do the Chiefs really need to do?
The thing is, it completely depends on why would you ruin something that works? You're not, and Andy Reid is not going to ruin something that works, especially because when he was coaching the Eagles, he really didn't have anything that worked. So finally, he has players who can give him a chance to win a Super Bowl. When you look at what occurred, back-to-back Super Bowl appearances, didn't do so well because the offensive line just wasn't there for Kansas City. And realistically, they're such a dominant force. They have the best tight end in the league. But I think everybody can agree with that. Someone who's close, maybe George Kittle, but that man was hurt throughout the season, so you really don't know. He could have been, 2 years ago, kind of a one-hit stud, but we can all probably agree he's not gonna. You have Tyreek Hill, the animal, the guy who can get down the field no matter what, as well as you have some good speedsters with Pringle and McCole Hardman. They're also doing, and Sammy Watkins. He has those options, and if you keep that there, they are going to play well. Hey, they might have one bad game, and that happened in the Super Bowl, but they will play well.
They have great running backs, too. They have a great committee going.
And especially with Le'Veon Bell finally getting away from a horrible team. Presto. And they have a young Clyde Edwards-Helaire. It's something to reckon with right there. That's a problem.
And you wanted to say something?
I just think they need to add more on the defensive end. I haven't heard either one of you talk about any defensive players for the Chiefs. All I hear is about offense.
Good point.
Yeah, they do only have two studs.
And when you want to win a Super Bowl, it's all about having a good defense. You can't.
They got blown out in the Super Bowl too, so they gave up a lot of points in that Super Bowl. That offense didn't even do much in that Super Bowl either. That we keep talking about. So.
Yeah, no,
was it just the Brady mojo that stopped that Super Bowl, or was it something else? Who knows?
They look nervous for a team that was playing back in Super Bowls. So
yeah,
they definitely. I think the Chiefs definitely need to address the defensive side of the ball. I feel like they need one more good lockdown corner, and they need a pass rusher. I feel like they had really no pressure on Brady at all during the game. They need a good edge rusher and a good outside corner in the secondary. Tyrann Mathieu back there. That defense would look scary, and they definitely, I feel like,
realistically,
go ahead.
They could sign J.J. Watt, would be a great signing for them, honestly.
I didn't even think
that would be
that.
scary.
I didn't even think of that.
During that entire Super Bowl, oh my gosh, Jensen was all in Chris Jones's head. Right from the first quarter, that man was getting abused mentally. That dude parked
Mm.
a whole Class A RV in his head and camped out for 3 weeks. Dude, and imagine that. Imagine that, because he was one of the all-star pass rushers that Kansas City had, and he really couldn't even do anything.
Yeah. But yes, moving into the next point that I wanted to bring up from before. So, Billy, I'll let you start this off. Patrick Mahomes ran for a grand total of 497 yards before the line of scrimmage. That's how bad his offensive line played, and he was literally running for his life. So, Billy, was the Chiefs' offensive line the main reason why they lost this game and Mahomes just had a terrible game and the whole offense in general?
Well, yes. Yes. It's definitely the main reason, because he could not have the time and the ability to make the correct decisions, which he normally did throughout the year. But also a huge problem was the receivers.
Dropped a lot of
People were
passes.
dropping the balls left and right. Tyreek Hill dropped an open ball where he could have easily gotten like 30 yards. And then you also got, I don't even know who it was, got domed in the helmet after Patrick Mahomes makes an incredible pass, literally parallel to the ground at the end of the game. I understand that's not going to win them the game, but those problems caused many issues. And that was a leading concern during that entire game. So I think that entire offense just wasn't there in the head, except for Patrick Mahomes. I think he was the only one there in the head, and realistically, he wasn't there with his cardio, it seemed like, because that dude was hella tired.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, I think you can't just blame it on the offensive line, but they did contribute a huge role in the problem.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think maybe because I'm a little more old-fashioned when it comes to football, that I feel like the most important one, like other than quarterback, the most important position in football, in my opinion, is the offensive line. You're not doing anything if you don't have an offensive line, and the Super Bowl completely proved that point. Offensive tackles and guards are so key, because if Mahomes had time in the pocket, we all know he would have scored at least a touchdown. He didn't even put up a touchdown. Like, that's just bizarre to me, because Mahomes has literally put up at least like 2 touchdowns pretty much every single game of his career. And now you have this where he only puts up 3 field goals. It's insane to me. So the fact that the offensive line played that badly, that you had Mahomes scrambling for almost 500 yards behind the line of scrimmage for his life, it's like they need to address that immediately. That's my take, though. Dylan, I want to hear what you have to say. Do you think it was mainly on the offensive line, or do you think there was other factors too that possibly could have affected the Chiefs?
I think there was a bunch of different factors that came into them losing this game, but definitely the offensive line was the biggest issue. They just couldn't get anything going on offense, and when Mahomes did make a great pass, one of his receivers just dropped the ball or it hit him right in the helmet.
Yep.
There wasn't much Mahomes could else do there. And it wasn't like the running game was doing that much. Clyde had a couple good runs, but there was nothing really going there all day on the offensive side. That's a credit to the Bucs defense, though.
Yeah.
I feel like their defense just was great throughout the playoffs, stopping Rodgers, Breeze, and Mahomes to pretty much nothing. And I think they said this was like Mahomes' first game down by double digits, like his first real blowout loss. So it's kind of strange to see it happen, but it was really because most of the offensive line was banged up. They had backups in, and Bruce Arians and Todd Bowles just took advantage of that.
Santa Morris, anything you'd like to add to that?
Pretty much. I think the offensive line was definitely the number one thing why the Chiefs lost, but I think we forget that the Chiefs, the amount of flags they had throughout the game. I mean, I felt like every other play they were getting some sort of flag. That leads to having absolutely no momentum, and in my opinion, momentum is one of the biggest things in sports. If you have momentum, you might have the game in your hands. And they just, every time they would get some sort of momentum, there'd be some sort of offsides or some pass interference on defense. There'd be something, and they couldn't get it going. And I don't know if that has to do with just, an onslaught of issues with, the offensive line on the upsetting on the offensive side, and then, it like comes over to the defensive side and then they start getting flags. But if I had to cut it down to two things, it'd be the flags and the offensive line. They really just got in their own hands, and like Dylan said earlier, they look nervous.
Yeah, and realistically, when I think about it, I don't even think a lot of those flags were bad calls. I think a lot of them were very good calls by the referees. There was one that was very questionable, and it was Mike Evans running down the stretch, getting tripped up, and the guy didn't even really touch him. He just lost control of his feet. And I think people should have realized that right away, and you should have taken it to, the NFL station, look really deep into it, because that was obvious, and a lot of people could tell even from one single camera angle. But yeah, I liked what Dylan said. You cannot discredit the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers' defense was unbelievable that game. For the disadvantage that Kansas City had, the Buccaneers took advantage of it, and they rushed Patrick Mahomes. And when Patrick Mahomes doesn't even have time to even make any forms of decision, you're going to get those 3 and outs. You're going to get those sacks. You're going to make him have to run all over the field, and it's going to cause a problem. And I think, honestly, I don't know if we're going to get to this at some point, but I think the defense, at least somebody on the defense, needed the MVP in that game. Because because Tom Brady, yes, he played well. Yes, he carried the team. Yes, he brought the momentum going to the Super Bowl. But I do not think he is the reason for that win, and that drastic win.
Great point. I was just about to say it, and you took the words right out of my mouth. I think also we have to remember the Chiefs, yeah, they played terrible, but we got to give credit where it's due. The Buccaneers defense came to play. Shaquille Barrett, Jason Pierre-Paul, and the one person that a lot of people actually said had a realistic shot of taking home Super Bowl MVP was middle linebacker Devin White. The 3 of them had 3 of the best games of their career. They rushed the heck out of Mahomes every single play. Barrett had a couple sacks. Pierre-Paul had a couple sacks. Devin White was literally everywhere on the field, it seemed like, making plays. My thing is, where was this when Todd Bowles was the head coach of my Jets? Where was this kind of defense?
It's the Brady effect. It's why Brady always has a great defense.
Why couldn't
he makes his teams better?
Yeah, he makes his teams better.
I don't understand it.
There's something about Brady that just gets everybody in the locker room hyped up. I wish I knew what it was, but he gets.
That's the greatest ever lived.
I mean, just imagine playing for Brady, him being your quarterback. You want to get him another ring. You want to be a part of the history that he's building here.
Yeah.
Good thing you say that, actually, because Mike Evans actually has already stated that he will take a pay cut just to keep this team together and not have any changes. You have your star number 1 receiver who could definitely be making bank, wanting to take his own money away just to win another ring. That's real right there. And that's
a real winner.
It's a real winner. And that just shows that he knows what he knows what the team is. This is Brady's team, and
he knows why he's playing the sport. He's not playing it for money.
Exactly. Love that. But yes, so now I want to move into another topic here. Dylan, I'm going to start this off with you since you are the resident Patriots fan. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rings he now has under his belt. Do you think Brady has one more in him, maybe? Do you think he can go back-to-back or something? Do you think he has, just one more?
Yeah, come on, Dylan, tell us.
I think he is definitely going to win his 8th by the time he retires. I don't know if it's going to be next year. Brady's not the type to repeat. He usually goes every other year. But I think he's got 2-3 more years in him. And I think when he wins that 8th the next time, he will retire on top because that's how he wants to do it. But I think with that defense that he has in Tampa Bay, I think they realistically have a shot every year, especially with Tom Brady under the helm.
Yeah. What's it called? He has one more year left in his contract with Tampa Bay, so he could very well just go back to back. Do you think maybe if his contract, the next season's over, they don't win the Super Bowl, you think he might re-sign another 1 year or 2 year deal with Tampa Bay, or maybe even come back home to New England.
Oh, I would love for him to come back to New England and end his career there, but I realistically don't think it's going to happen. I think that ship has sailed with Belichick and Brady. I really think Brady's just going to finish out his career in Tampa Bay, re-sign another deal there, maybe 1 or 2 years, and just finish out there.
Billy, what do you think? Do you think Brady has one more left in him, possibly in Tampa Bay again next year?
I'm gonna be honest. Sorry, Dylan, but I hated the Patriots, and I thought I hated Tom Brady, but I hated the Patriots and just their dynasty and how long they were unstoppable. That's what I hated. I don't actually hate Tom Brady, and I would like to see him to get another Super Bowl. It would just definitely solidify him as the GOAT even more. Tom Brady, the only concern would definitely be having that Tampa Bay team not stay together. But as you said, Mike Evans even said, hey, I'll take a pay cut. If that team stays together, they can easily win another one. And you saw, because they won 8 straight leading up to the playoffs. And in the playoffs, they had some tough competition. With New Orleans, people thought New Orleans was going to win. Nope. Then you look at Green Bay. Everybody said, oh, we already know what this Super Bowl is going to be. It's going to be Kansas City, Green Bay. Personally, I said, no, Tampa Bay's going, and Tampa Bay might even win this. But a lot of people were saying Green Bay. No. Tom Brady effect comes in, and they get to the Super Bowl. Go to the Super Bowl, and they win it out, leading Kansas City to not even get into double digits. It's unreal.
Didn't even score a touchdown.
Didn't even score a touchdown. The kicker had the most points. So I think Tom Brady can do it. I think whatever team Tom Brady's on can lead to a championship, except for maybe the Jets. And
I agree with that, actually.
Yeah,
he could lead them to a championship.
I literally think Tom Brady could take any team to the ring except the Jets. I think if he went to like the Giants, he could take that team. I think he could take any other team to the championship besides the Jets. Sorry, but you guys are bad.
And here's the thing.
That's why we're gonna get Deshaun Watson, and we're gonna get Juju, and we're gonna get Allen Robinson. We're gonna make the playoffs next year at 10-6 and make a deep playoff run and lose in the conference championship.
Yo, here's the thing. The Tom Brady effect is a strong effect, and it can take over any team. But the Jets effect and the wave of dark green that comes over the fans gets them so riled up that Tom Brady would be shook in his boots and they'd go 2-14.
Yeah.
100%.
He'd do a Belichick. He'd sign with the team and leave within like a couple of days.
Yep.
Dude, Belichick was a Jets head coach for 1 day and said, "Nah, I'm out," and went to New England.
Yo, I'm going to be honest. If Tampa Bay traded Tom Brady to the Jets, I bet you he'd retire after the first day of training camp.
Well, he hates the Jets regardless. Yeah,
but...
well, probably doesn't really hate us because pretty much every time he played us, he free win.
Yeah, I think he knows how bad the Jets are. I don't think he can go anywhere near there.
I don't even think he thinks about you guys, to be honest with you.
Yo, Russell Wilson threw an interception at the goal line.
When was the last time the Jets made the playoffs?
And with that, let's move on to our next topic. But yeah, no. One thing I also want to bring up with you guys, little funness. If you guys want to mention one of your maybe favorite highlights or plays from the Super Bowl, and we can talk about it, discuss it. Let's we can do that. So I'll start it off. I think probably my favorite part of the Super Bowl, in all honesty, was seeing Gronk catch 2 touchdowns. Yeah. I knew right away that the Brady-Gronk connection was going to happen. I just didn't think it was going to happen twice. So when Brady found Gronk for that strike in the back of the end zone for his 2nd touchdown, and then you saw in the post-game interview afterwards when Gronk was like, "Yo, 2 tutties!" I love that.
I'm gonna be honest. When I was going through and deciding, hey, what should I throw in my parlays? I looked around and I said, AB is going to score a touchdown.
Oh.
McCole Hardman's going to score a touchdown. Nah, that didn't happen. Not at all. McCole Hardman couldn't even catch the ball. Well, Patrick Mahomes couldn't even get him the ball. But I looked at Gronk and I said, most people probably expect Gronk to score some touchdowns. I don't know if it's going to happen. And I made the worst decision of my life because there was one of those, 2 touchdowns and you could bet, and it was, crazy odds. And I could have, thrown that in a parlay, maybe with AB scoring a touchdown and getting the yards. No. I didn't do that. I lost all my money. But I totally agree. Gronk, what he did on that field, scoring 2 touchdowns and actually making an unbelievable catch for that second touchdown, was fantastic. It just reminded me of that old Gronk you saw on the Pats.
That was probably his best game of the year.
Yeah, that or second.
Yeah.
I remember he did have one, but probably not. No, it's a Super Bowl. It's definitely the best game of the year.
Dylan, what's one play that stood out to you the most and possibly, just ooh, good play?
Well, I think it's just the fact that Rob Gronkowski, Antonio Brown, Leonard Fournette all scoring touchdowns, leading by Tom Brady, all 4 players that were either released or in jail or playing WWE, weren't even on the team last year or in the league, just all scoring touchdowns.
It really says something.
Just all players that the Bucs just got this year coming together and winning a chip for Brady again.
That's a great point, literally, yeah. Santa Morris, anything that stood out to you, eye-opening plays?
Mine was the Antonio Brown touchdown. I mean, Antonio Brown's been a talk in the news for the last 2 years, and not for a good reason. I mean, He's had a lot of adversities against him. He's just has not been what you would call a good guy within the last couple of years, but he seems finally to have found a home with the Bucs. He seems to be really chilled out. He stayed out of the news. Seems to finally, he's got his head on right. I'm happy for him that he got a touchdown in the Super Bowl. He's got a ring, and I hope it's just smooth sailing from here. I hope there's no more problems. I was happy to see that.
I'll be honest. When Brady got in Tyrann Mathieu' face,
oh my God,
that was good.
I thought hands or something. Somebody was gonna start pushing. Oh my goodness.
Yo, that got me lit too. 43-year-old Brady coming up looking like a twig, going to the short.
Because he knows he's the GOAT.
Dude, and he just, oh my gosh.
Right in his face.
He basically, and I know, I don't think it's accurate, but, it was all over Twitter and Instagram about him basically saying, it was like Tyrann Mathieu said, "I'm coming after you." And then Brady was like, "No, I'm coming after you," scores a touchdown, and then runs up in his face. I don't know if that's true, but that was tough.
That's great.
That was tough.
That's cold.
Yep.
Yeah.
Brady's a killer.
Yo, guy just said, "Yo, I was Thanos, but now I'm Voldemort."
Yeah.
One other play also that stood out to me was one of Mahomes' many times scrambling 30,000 yards back the other way before getting sacked and scrambled for his life. Then he finally cut the corner, was ready to make a strike, got hit as he threw it. It was that one play where he was falling down, Conan, and looked like right out of a video game. But he's falling down and still slings a perfect spiral 30 yards down the field just to hit his receiver in the helmet.
Yep. Great. That sums up the Super Bowl for the Chiefs right
How
there.
did he make that throw? That was insane. Literally getting hit,
Dude,
falling
that's all baseball too.
after about 30 yards and slinging a sidearm perfect spiral 30 yards down the field.
Accuracy came from his baseball and how he throws the ball. That man throws the ball 75 different ways. I don't know how he does it, which is just unbelievable. I don't know how he also doesn't tear his shoulder.
Oh, he has a super cannon. He doesn't have a cannon for an arm. He has a super cannon. He could throw that thing probably 80 yards down the field if he wanted to with strength. But yeah, so there's one last topic, and then we'll end it for the night on a fantastic show as always. The Super Bowl parade was done in Tampa Bay on boats, which I think was really cool. Brady and Gronk, bad boys for life. They did it again together. partying, having the time of their lives. Did you guys see Brady when he got off the boat and how drunk he was? I
You saw him throw the Super Bowl, the Lombardi Trophy.
was gonna say that too, and he told
That's crazy.
Gronk.
There's no one that can get away with that except Tom Brady.
Everyone was probably shaking in their boots.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Gronk! Please don't drop it.
And Brady
That's
threw it.
the trophy that's going right in the water.
It's
Yep.
also
Oh my
crazy
God.
too how Gronk just wasn't allowed to hold the Lombardi Trophy because guy
Yeah.
takes the Lombardi Trophy and whacks it when Julian Edelman pitches a ball at him. Like, that is hilarious right there. guy just wanted to hold the trophy.
Gronk is a 7-year-old child in a super athlete's body.
Yeah.
My
It's
first ballot Hall of Fame body.
Yes.
Best tight end of all time body.
One or two. One or
You can make
two.
the argument.
It's either him or Tony Gonzalez.
Yep. But yeah, Bad Boys for Life. That video, when they first did it, I loved it, honestly. Just seeing the two of them strutting up with after the championship in New England and now doing it. That's Gronk's 4th ring now, mind you. What's next?
Yeah.
What's next for them as a duo? Do you think Gronk is going to stay one more year now, or do you think Gronk's done? Is anyone of you?
I think I don't know. I think he'll, if anything, I think he's done. But I think if anything, he'll stay for one more year. I don't think he'll go more than one more year.
I think
You know,
he's going to come back for one more year. I think Brady's going to tell him that Brady's going to say he's confident that he's going to win another one.
Yeah.
Why not another one together? And their careers together on top.
Yeah, they're like interlocked.
Yeah,
They're soulmates.
I generally think that if Gronk didn't have the type season that he had and how he finished it, this would have 100% been the last year by far.
Yeah.
But Gronk now coming off a Super Bowl where he scored 2 touchdowns, having an absolute insane season, showing that he's still capable to play the way that he did a couple years ago. You know, he's got to come back. I just don't see him not.
Yeah.
And, you know, again, I wouldn't care, or it would be sad to see him go, but I also would completely understand him going. He was gone.
Yeah.
So I got one, maybe two. I got 2 more questions for you guys. First one, is it solidified now? I'm gonna go ask you all 3 in order. Billy, I'll go you first. Is it solidified now? Brady and Gronk, the best quarterback receiver duo ever.
Oh, yeah.
Dylan?
I'd personally agree with it, yeah.
I would have to say yeah. I have to say yeah, but you also have to Joe Montana, Jerry Rice is up there as well. You can't
there's
discredit them.
I haven't really had time to think about that, so I would need some more time, but I think they're definitely up there.
Yeah, they're definitely up there.
Santa, do you believe they're up there as well?
Nah, because the best is Russ and DK Metcalf, so I just got to go with that. It's the best of all time. It will continue to be the best of all time, as you see right here. Got that DK Metcalf on. They're going to be the best. That's my answer.
Well, on that note,
Do you think
Patrick
Mahomes and Tyreek Hill could overtake that?
honestly,
Yes.
No.
I
I don't
it's
think
definitely
so.
possible.
They got to win 5 more rings. They got to win 4 rings, 5 rings together
Yeah,
for
that's
that.
true.
Yeah, they have to win a lot of rings together to be in
Yeah.
that competition. And Tyreek Hill's performance in the Super Bowl
It was a
not-
little poopy. He did not do that good.
Yeah, that was quite disappointing.
and so for the last question I wanted to ask you guys, the way too early power ranking of Super Bowl matchups, who do you guys got in the Super Bowl next year? Do you see the Buccaneers going back to it and the Chiefs going back to it, or do you possibly think that 2 new teams are going to be in, or one of the 2 is going to be in it? I'll go first with it. I personally think next year the Chiefs are not going to be in it. They're not going to 3.
Wow.
I do not think they're going to 3 straight. I think it's going to be a big-time sleeper team like either Buffalo or
Going to the Ravens.
or honestly,
No, Lamar Jackson doesn't have the guts to get to the Super Bowl.
No,
I was gonna say honestly, if JJ Watt signs, JJ Watt signs with the Steelers, I could see the Steelers going to the Super Bowl.
No.
They have to figure out their quarterback situation, though.
Yeah.
I'm a Steelers fan. No. And I don't even want that expectation because by the end of the season, the regular season, I knew.
You guys were a
last
laughing
5
stock.
weeks, I knew that there was no hope for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And yes, you could give us more defensive players, but that's not going to change anything. And also, first of all, J.J. Watt's not going to probably go there because we don't have the cap for that. Big Ben's going to continue to throw crazy interceptions, and we don't have a run game. So I can hope all I want, but I got to be realistic, and that's not happening. But I'm going to say this. The Bills are going to make it if it's not Kansas City, and Green Bay is going because they are going to get J.J. Watt.
Oh, interesting. That's a take right there. JJ Watt to the Packers.
But they are getting him. 100%.
Yeah. I think next year is gonna be Bills Packers, in all honesty, because I think Rodgers. My opinion was Rodgers was gonna go on to face Mahomes in the Super Bowl this year, and Rodgers was gonna win. I think Rodgers is absolutely fed up with choking in the playoffs and losing in the big game. He wants to get back to the Super Bowl. He just won MVP now. We all if Green Bay doesn't get him the help he deserves now, especially, then he just got to leave at that point. But if they do, if Green Bay actually uses their noggins and they get him the help that he deserves, I think it's going to be Green Bay, no doubt, going to the Super Bowl. Rodgers is tired of being a choke artist.
I don't think so. I think this was the year for Green Bay. Rodgers winning MVP.
Yeah, me too.
One seed. I think this was their year. I think I'm gonna say Brady obviously has to be in the conversation. I'm not gonna bet against him not going back to the Super Bowl. I think the AFC is more interesting here. I think a team you guys haven't really talked about that could be upcoming and make some noise next year is the Browns, possibly.
Odell come back from that ACL tear.
Odell coming back.
They
Full
played
squad back.
season, yeah.
I think
Odell.
Chiefs obviously the favorites, but the Browns and the Bills are the teams you have to look at possibly making that jump next year.
How about them Seahawks, baby?
I don't want to talk about it.
They choke in the playoffs every
Listen,
year.
all I'm saying is this. Every single year, I read the same exact thing. Man, the Seahawks are going to go from first to last. They're going to be like 7-9. And then the same thing happens every year. The Seahawks win over 10 games. That's all I'm saying.
They're a great regular season team. They just
All right.
never win in the
No,
playoffs.
relax over there, Cam Newton.
I could 100%
Not even on our
see
team.
the Rams making a run. They have
The Rams are going to win the division next year. The Seahawks are going to be the wild card team.
the Rams.
That's what I think.
The Rams
Staff-
are going to make a run. They now have Matt Stafford. They have a great opportunity now because Jared Goff just wasn't cutting it. They would have a defense
Jared Goff
that can lead them
stunk.
to the playoffs.
I've been saying that since he
easily.
got drafted.
And then they have Jared Goff who can't successfully throw passes. So now that they have someone who can actually do something, maybe throw the long ball, which you saw a lot on the Lions,
Stafford loves
they
deep
could really
ball.
make some noise in the playoffs, 100%.
They're definitely the dark horse next year in the Super Bowl, in my opinion, the Rams with Stafford. But yeah, with that all being said, this is now the conclusion of Under Pressure. Thank you, Dylan and Nick, for coming out and being a part of it with me and Billy. Always a pleasure. Stay tuned, guys, for next week for more Under Pressure. Nick Presto signing out.
I just need to cry.